Today we are going to be graphing quadratics. This is day 2 of our notes. So if you notice, there's a trinomial. So A, B, and C have numbers today. Yesterday, some of them had zeros. Okay, so let's start off here by writing our general formula or format for a quadratic. So ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, this will help us match up what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals. So a is the number in front of the x squared. So that would be -1. B is the number in front of the x. That's -8. And then c is just the number here, so that's -15. Okay, then our axis of symmetry. I'm going to show my work over here. So axis of symmetry. My equation is always x equals -b over 2a. It's not printed today, but that's just something you have to memorize. So I'm going to plug in my values. So I have my b value here is -8. So a negative 8 over 2 times my a. My a value here you can see is -1. All right, two negatives make a +8 over -2. Divide that. That equals -4. All right, so my axis of symmetry is x equals -4. Now we go straight to our table next. This x value is going to be the middle number in our table. Then I'm going to subtract one more, add one more. Now we will fill in this side of the table. Okay, so let me highlight a couple things here so you can see where I'm getting my numbers from. This equation is telling us how we get these numbers. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to show some work here on the right side, is use my -x squared minus 8x minus 15. I have to plug in this -6 wherever I see x. So I have to plug it in 2 times. So I'm going to have negative and then x squared. Actually, let me write it on the other side here. Okay, squared minus 8 parentheses minus 15. I'm plugging in -6 into both of these x spots. So in your calculator, you're going to type this in exactly. Negative sign, parentheses, -6, parentheses, squared. And then I would do, then enter -8 times -6 minus 15. When you do that, you should get -3. Okay, that's probably the hardest part, is making sure you type it in correctly. If you want to check and make sure you're doing this correctly, you know from yesterday that your bottom row of the table should match. So this bottom one here, I should have the same setup, but now I'm going to plug in -2 in for my x spot. So now my calculator, I'm going to do negative, parentheses, -2, parentheses, squared, minus 8 times parentheses, -2, parentheses, minus 15. I'm literally just typing in exactly like this. Again, I'm using this equation to find these numbers. All right, again, you should get -3 for this one. Now you're going to plug in these 3 numbers here. Okay, so I want you to pause the video, plug those in, and make sure that you're going to get the same answer as I'm going to. You have to know how to type these in yourself. So make sure you're not just watching what I'm doing, and that you're trying it yourself as well. Okay, so press pause a minute. Okay, so for these numbers, you should have 0 and 0, and then 1. Now I can plot these points. So my first point is -6, -3. So I go left 6, down 3, left 5, left 4, up 1, like this. Okay. Then when I'm done, I'm going to connect my U, draw my arrows. Now I can answer the questions on the left. All right, so my vertex here, that's the top point. That's at what, -4, 1? That's the top of a mountain, so that's a maximum. All right, my y-intercept. Oh no, this doesn't cross the y-axis. But if my graph, I made this longer, okay, it's eventually going to cross the y-axis. So if you don't see it on the graph or your table, you need to plug it in yourself. So y-intercept is when x equals 0. So I'm just plugging in 0 to x for both of these spots here into my equation. So I have negative 0x squared minus 8 times 0 minus 15. Some of you might notice, oh, both these are just 0. Those cancel out. So I'm just left with that c value, that negative 15. So my y-intercept is 0, comma, negative 15. All right, my solutions, that's where it hits the x-axis. So that's when x equals 0. So you can also see, oh, on your table, you can find those values here as well. Okay, so I have what, negative 5, comma 0, and negative 3, comma 0. So the solution is, the x value, both of these, so negative 5 and negative 3. All right, then the domain, we know for all of these, it's negative infinity to positive infinity, goes to the left forever and to the right forever. My range, I start at the bottom, negative infinity, all the way up to my top value, which is right here, the y value by vertex, so that's 1, with a bracket because it's a closed circle. Okay, so if we notice here, this was a negative in front of the entire equation, so my graph is opening down. So think, down looks like a frown. All right. Now let's do one more on the backside. Let's do number 3. Okay, this one will go a little bit faster because we have the idea on what's going on here. So my a is the number in front of x squared, so that's 1. B is the number in front of x, which is 4. C is negative 5. My axis of symmetry, I'll do it over here, axis of symmetry, is x equals negative b over 2a. So negative b, so negative 4 over 2 times my a value, which is 1. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. My axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Oh, I need to draw that on my graph. I think I forgot to on the last one, didn't I? Make sure you draw that dotted line on there. That's where you can fold the graph in half. Okay, now this negative 2 is the middle number of my table. Subtract 1 more, add 1 more. Now I'm going to plug in to my equation. Again, I'm going to highlight it so we're not confused on where I'm getting these numbers from. All right, so negative 4, I'm plugging in. Oh, that's not what I want. Sorry. Okay, here we go. I have x squared plus 4 times x minus 5. So this negative 4 is being plugged into both spots. You have to use parentheses when you are squaring these numbers. So parentheses, negative 4, parentheses, squared, plus 4, parentheses, negative 4, parentheses, minus 5. All right, for this one, you should get negative 5. Then when you type in the bottom one here, 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 5, if you notice, okay, oh, those two are going to cancel their 0. So I also get negative 5 for the bottom one. Now I'll do the same with the rest of these. I'll write them out. You obviously don't have to write these out. I'm just trying to show you how you're typing into your calculator. This is very important that we know how to do this. All right, again, I want you to pause, type these 3 in, and then make sure they're going to match with what I write in a minute. Okay, so go ahead and pause. Okay, you should get then -8 and then -9. Now I can go ahead and graph these. So -4, -5, left 3, down 8, left 2, down 9. And you see, okay, my axis of symmetry is where the graph is going to fold in half. Okay, that looks good. Now I can answer my questions. So my vertex right here, that would be what? -2, -9. That's a minimum. It's the bottom of a valley. All right, my y-intercept, I'll use blue for that one. That's crossing the y-axis right here. You also can see, oh, that's for my table. That's when, x is equal to 0. So 0, -5. My solutions are where it crosses the x-axis. You see, oh, there's no dots on the line because my table, we didn't get there yet. Like we need one more point. So this is when we have to, what we call extend the table. I'm going to add one more, and I'm going to subtract one more. So I need to plug in 1 to the equation, and I need to plug -5 into the equation. Okay, so let's plug 1 in. Plug in, you should get 0. When I plug -5 in, you should get 0. So now these two are my solutions because I want to find when y equals 0. Okay, so if I plotted these points, I would say, oh, that's solution, that's the solution, and I, keep extending my graph. Okay, so my solutions, I'll write them here. All right, my domain then is -infinity to +infinity. My range, I start at the bottom, which is the y value is 9, and then it goes to +infinity. All right, there we have it. Graphing day 2.